Welcome back to Danny Rants. Today we have a Western Melbourne rapper who's also was part of one of the biggest graffiti busts from the police and spent some time in jail for it. He's come all the way down to chat with me today, and his name is D.O.A.
It's doing.
How are you, bro? You good?
Good, bro. Good.
Thank you, because this was kind of last minute. So I've obviously, as I talked to you about, I know you're young. We know we have mutual people that we know, and I reached out to you, and this kind of happened quickly. So I appreciate you moving shit around to come see me.
No stress, bro.
Especially when the rain's fucking been so bad today.
Today, eh?
So what does D.O.A. actually stand for?
Dead on arrival.
I thought so.
Yeah,
I was like,
so
that's
when
the
a body
obvious.
gets from to the morgue, dead on arrival. I've heard it in a heap of rap songs. Yeah, so it was just easy to go with.
Cool. So let's wind it all the way back, right? So where are you originally from? Actually, firstly, before we even start, if people don't know you, can you give us a little bit of a rundown about like who you are and what you do?
Yeah, West Side rapper from Footscray. I grew up in Werribee, still West Side, but I'll claim Footscray as home. Yeah, just all about the music.
Yep, mad. Yep. So when you growing up, you're pretty heavy in the graph scene. Melbourne graph scene is obviously fucking worldwide famous, would you say?
Yeah, surely, yeah.
Yeah.
Especially trains.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
So you were painting trains back then?
For sure. Like trains came later, but yeah, definitely.
So how do you sort of start that? Like, and it's kind of interesting, right? Because we're going to go through the whole journey of the music and shit. But like, realistically, fucking when it comes to graffiti and it comes to hip hop, it's sort of synonymous, right? But in Melbourne, was it always like that? Was it always synonymous with graffiti?
Oh, no, not really. Because I started through like more like hardcore music when I was younger, but just fell into graffiti from, I guess, just liking it.
Yeah.
Seeing it and liking it, catching trains everywhere when you're younger. Like track sides were a very big thing, probably still are. But yeah, it was just easier. It was always around. But just obviously like the look of it. A good mate of mine, one of my oldest mates, was the first person I ever seen do a tag, and I was interested as soon as I seen it. Same with the music as well. Like the first time I heard someone rapping, it was interested in the same thing. But yeah, just from that, I guess it's just years and years of just persistence with it, bro, and it just ends up. I guess if you go about it right, you progress. You progress through because it's a very big culture.
Yeah,
it's a very big culture for sure.
Was your tag D.O.A?
No.
Can you say your tag name?
No.
Bad. Yeah. So going back on that, right?
I'll say the crew though, SASSM.
Yeah,
motherfuckers know too.
Yeah, do they? So going back on that, like, well, how old were you when you first started writing?
I would have been 15, 16 maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just being a little shit, fucking always out in the street and that. And then, grow up and, get your license. You're able to go wherever you want. That helps a lot. Boot full of paint, you know what I mean? Not really giving a fuck where you go, just cruising around, tagging whatever. But yeah, my graph career really probably progressed heaps when I met a good mate of mine. And we just done hours together, just me and him, just cruising around fucking day and night.
Right, I'm going to go right into this, right? Like, and I'm sorry if like this is, not what you're expecting me to go into, but for me, I've been watching graffiti, same as you on trains. Even when I was a kid, I used to take photos and shit, right?
Yeah,
so
nice.
Most of the writers here, no doubt, we'll talk about them off air, but like I've either watched them, don't know who they are, you probably do, but I've like watched these mad names go through the last 20 years. I always wanted to sit across from a grapher and ask these questions, like how the fuck do you do this stuff? So I'm probably going to go right back, but when you're first starting out, right, you're starting writing on stuff.
Yeah.
Like, what's the objective and what kind of burns you to start doing it?
I don't know. I guess it was just very intriguing when I first seen it with my own eyes. I'm more like already, just being a little shit, being younger, drinking when you're heaps younger, parties when you're not supposed to, all that type of stuff kind of leads into it. But and I don't know. I just like the vandalism part, I guess, like just being. And just getting your name up. Like once you discover something and you realise that there's a deep culture in it, it's just like getting a brand new book that you never heard the subject on, and you can read so many books on it.
100%.
But it just was like, and it's one thing that you can never really end. There's no ending to it, You can't really
like a martial arts. Almost.
Yeah. You can't ever not do no more tags or anything like that. Like there's always room for something.
Yeah, no shit. That's like a good way of looking at it.
That was probably another. Yeah, it's just, and then more the vandalism part, like. Yeah, just being younger and being a little shit. It kind of feels like an adrenaline rush from doing the wrong thing. You know what I mean? You're not supposed to. There's a chance you could be arrested when you're doing the crime itself, that type of thing.
You reckon you get addicted to it?
Oh, Nah, I wouldn't say I'm addicted. Not now. I definitely was. But like now I know when I drive around, I can't not see graffiti, if that makes sense. There'd be hundreds of millions of people that can drive around and don't even notice the graffiti. But like I can't not see something new, especially the streets you regulate on, and the streets you drive all the time. You can notice. I'll notice the next day that someone's been down this street tagging because you've got you're either looking for spots yourself or it's just synonymous now to where you're looking everywhere you look, I could probably do a tag there. But then if someone else does it, you go, oh, obviously someone's been around here last night. I was here last night. That wasn't there. That type of stuff.
No, even still now.
That's etched in me. Yeah, that will never go.
Yeah, it's crazy as. So like, I know there's like with the graffiti scene, there's certain styles or different stuff, right? Can you run us through some of that slang? So for argument's sake, I'm talking about like I know what a throwy is.
Yeah.
Like, there's like caps and all this stuff.
Yeah.
Can you run us through like what those things are?
Per se, like what you do graffiti wise, there's tags, throwies, and pieces. Pieces are probably the most elite form. Tags are the most basic form, but obviously the comparison can be like a lot different. You can be very extreme with your tags. You can be just predominantly tags. You could just be predominantly pieces, predominantly throwies. Me personally, I was more just like tags and throwies. Did do pieces, but more on trains. And that's another thing too. There's other people who paint the streets, which is majority of probably graffiti worldwide, but like it did start on trains in New York, and it did start on trains. But yeah, there's a very big difference of people that paint trains and people that paint the streets too. A lot of people obviously dabble in both. People dabble in one or the other, but there's a whole lot of I guess like subcultures to do with it as well.
And the mission statement when you're doing throwies and you're doing not as big a pieces or tags.
Yeah, or it goes like tag, throwy, piece. So essentially, if you do a tag, someone can do a throwy over it. And if someone does a piece over that throwy, then it's all legible. But that's really only to the person that's...
And is there a thing called cap? Is someone like,
so that's really only to the person who gets their stuff gone over. I know me and my mates definitely you can put your piece over a scratchy on the wall and I'm not copping it.
Yeah, getcha.
You know what I mean? But it's really, I guess, it really depicts it's very subjective graffiti. Everyone's is different. Every single person's tag is different. So it really is a real depiction of who you are, I think.
And this is the thing why I think I've been fascinated. Like I know you said before about the trains, right? So I've like watched I've watched like documentaries. I've got books at home. I've been obsessed with the subculture of it.
Yeah.
And it's like the rules are like so hectic, right?
Fuck the rules though, bro. Fuck the rules. There's no rules. There's only rules if you want to abide by them. Otherwise you can just do free roam, do your thing. But in saying that, like I did say, there was, tags, throwaways and pieces. The rules per se, like fucking with trains, maybe with yards and that. But like I said, bro, it's all subjective to the person. It's like, man, we've been going over people for years and no one's doing anything about it.
Getcha.
With things that aren't legible. Pieces with throwies over pieces or tags over pieces where it's obviously clearly like, I think it has very much to do with the effort that's put in. I could do a tag on that wall and bounce in 15 seconds where I could sit here for 2.5 hours and do a piece. There's obviously a lot more effort and time put into a piece, so that's why I guess it's more legible,
Getcha.
But I guess it's all subjective to the person who's...
And the objective with like tags and throwies is to get your name out as much as you possibly can.
Yeah, well, they're just a lot easier. Like it's a lot quicker. You can be in and out. You can do a lot more damage widespread than you could if you spent 2 hours at a certain spot.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Because this guy, I'll say some of the names, but like I remember like Vosco, I think it was Vosco.
Yeah, King.
And then there was Monster,
Yeah.
which I'm pretty sure maybe been the same person.
Yeah.
But it was like, you couldn't fucking go anywhere in Melbourne without seeing
it. Yeah,
and
for
so
sure.
like that, obviously that guy's objective was that, and like a normal punter, you just couldn't not see it. So were you kind of like, you talked about how you met some other guys before and they kind of like, got you more seriously into it. Was your whole crew sort of riding beforehand, or did you kind of meet a crew and then sort of step it up?
Yeah, I mean, like just through being around the culture, obviously, like there was the one paint shop that everyone went to for years that's not there no more. But like just being around the culture, like you bump into people that you know, and you're growing up at the same time, seeing the same boys, and obviously like real recognise real, bro. So you keep seeing the same boys. It was actually weird because all my mates now, all my good mates now, all my crew, used to see him around everywhere in spots where we'd be like, how the fuck do we keep bumping into each other? And then we both were getting sus on each other, like, you follow me for some reason or whatever. It got to that point. We were all like, what the fuck's going on? But even potential fights could nearly broke out between my good mates now.
Yeah, no shit.
But just never amounted to that. And just after a while, I've always bumping into each other. We just started hanging around each other. And that's when I really started diving into trains because I was really not about them for ages. And trains is like the criminal. Like it's definitely like it's illegal, but the trains is like very criminal compared to doing tags on the streets and stuff. Like there's a lot more that goes into it. covert planning, stuff like that. You know what I mean?
And we're going to get into that too.
Yeah.
So when you got these guys, you're going out there and you're putting out all these fucking tags and stories and whatnot. How many hours, bro, are you spending it? And the second this is what I always ask myself. I'm like, I see these dudes who've got thousands and thousands of names.
Hours.
Explain to me, how the fuck you wake up and what does a day look like for someone who's trying to get their name out?
I can only just go off my what I used to do, man. We used to drive out of the deep west to the city. Maybe me and a good mate of mine, maybe 9:30, 10 o'clock in the morning. I'd be dropping him home 3, 4 in the morning, and we'd be doing the same thing again the next day. It wouldn't happen every single day, but more often than not, that would be the routine. You just drop the amount of petrol that you put through your car. But then again, when you're a kid, you walk around tagging trains. The trains the trains help a lot. Trains are very obviously synonymous with graffiti.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, it's just like I said before. It never ends. It's
like a full-time job.
Yeah, and there's no ending. You can't. I don't know. You can. There's never no end to it. So there's never nothing not to do. Not nothing to do.
So you'd be putting 15, 16 hours in a day, just
endless. And especially when I got my license. It was a very big period of my life that was very just with my good mate. We'd just done hours together, and it was just me and him. I never associated with no one else. I was working at the time. I'd go to work and spend all my money that I've work on paint and petrol, and then just go cruise every single second that I had that wasn't working. I was painting, and it's a very I shouldn't say lonely, but it's very I guess for lack of a better word, lonely in the sense to where you don't really have to associate with too many people, and half the mission is not to be seen.
Yeah.
So it's
That was even my next question, because Melbourne, right?
Yeah.
You can't not see it. It's fucking everywhere.
Yeah.
Every wall around us right now is covered in paint.
Yeah.
I've never seen anyone putting fucking paint on a wall.
Yeah. I guess it's a good thing. Yeah.
But how the fuck do people do it? And I've had people ask this question before. It's have you ever seen a graffiti artist put graffiti on a wall?
Yeah.
How the fuck do you get away with it?
Yeah. I mean, in and out, I guess.
There's a nighttime, daytime?
Both. I think I had more. Obviously, you probably more gets done in the nighttime, but I had more fun doing it in the daytime. You get more of a thrill out of it. You're not supposed to do it, and I used to just blend it into plain sight, bro. Just doing whatever. And I think not a lot of people, and especially from just my experiences, bro, a lot of people aren't really worrying about what's going on out there. You know what I mean? It's just very in your peripherals. You don't see nothing. And especially if you're smart about it, you get to the point, you're worried about getting arrested so much, so you're really worried about police. But then you realise you don't see police all the time. You see people driving in cars and people walking on the street all the time, but you don't see police all the time. But so we just eventually got to the point where it was we used to stop if any car was coming, and then you're just at a spot where you could be for only a minute. You end up being there for 10, 15 minutes sometimes, and that's the red hot part. That's the point where you're gonna get pinched, because if you're looking sus, just standing around, that's when people start going, okay, what's this guy doing?
So the game's trying not to look sus.
Yeah, cat and mouse essentially. But we just got to the point where we were all right, let's just paint until we see police. And honestly, that was probably the best thing I ever done for my painting career, was just worrying about that, because you rarely see police. And if you're looking for them, you're only going to stop once or twice. You're not going to stop every 10, 15 seconds, a car turning the corner or something like that. And it was always when we were painting with the boys, it was always a big group of us, so you can set it up, especially with trains. When we done trains, it was more we were almost not bulletproof planning, but there's no way some cunt could have got as close as me and you without us knowing 15 minutes ago. You know what I'm trying to say? So I guess with the right planning, if you're not a dumb cunt, it's not too hard.
Yeah, man.
But just in and out, I guess. Cans are I guess the instrument too. A good can will get you in and out quick too. If you've got shit paint, you might be there a bit longer than you normally should be.
So what the other stuff is you're rolling around at night time in these train yards, or you're rolling around at night time down these back alleyways.
Yeah.
But it's you obviously in the culture, and I know this is a big part of it. There was a lot of stuff there was other crews out there, or not even that, other fucking junkies and shit you were coming along. Do you have any wild yarns of shit that went down, or fucking the underbelly side of the not painting on the walls?
The underbelly side, yeah, I guess without leading on too much, that I'm just trying to think of things that I've that I can probably talk about. Yeah, just more like certain things. Like I guess I could just talk about things I've already been pinched on. When we were running trains a fair bit. I mean, you do see some fucking shit, man. Like you said, if you're cruising around train yards at night, if you're driving back alleys, man, we're driving to Ringwood or Dandy or whatever. You're driving back alleys there, and you're there at 3 a.m. Like eventually, you're gonna stumble across some cooked shit. You know what I mean?
100%.
That's definitely true. I'm just trying to think of like crazy yarns. When we were like in our peak. When we were like in our peak with our train, I guess like our train damage, we'd be rolling around carloads and that, and we done this one spot, a red light, so we were pulling a train that was in service, like people on the train. You pull the train on the red light on the train track, so the train stops, and you paint it, and then the train fucks off, and then you can catch it because the train's still running obviously to the city to wherever it's going, so you can get like rolling footage of your panel that's on the train. So we done this one spot one night, and we were probably, it was about a carload of us. I think there was like maybe 4 or 5 of us. A few of the older boys, like I got some of the boys in the crew are like older than us, because obviously like graphs obviously been a culture for a long time. So there's people who've done it earlier than I have. Obviously.
There's people in their 40s and shit doing it.
Yeah, for sure. There's a very old crew, Melbourne 70K, which
70,
is
yeah. I think one of them just got done, come back from London and got done recently.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. But yeah, we would be cruising around, and I can't remember I'm just trying to think of the suburb, but cruising around one night, we painted this red light. We pulled up at a station ready to bench this panel that was rolling through to get footage. So you pull up.
So when you say bench, what does bench mean?
Bench means like I guess it just means like sitting at a bench waiting for your panel to rock up. So you're just benching the panel. Like I guess that's maybe where it come from, but that's you get footage of your panel rolling. So we're waiting at this station. We know the train. We know we've bet this train to this station because we're a couple stations ahead. This and that, and we're getting around brazen as fuck at this point. Like we're in our peak of we're just not giving a fuck. Like we were pretty brazen with when we were painting the trains. And the older boys were not really concerned with graffiti. Didn't think graffiti was even a crime. You know what I mean? Like,
get you, yeah.
Yeah. So like that kind of gave us younger cunts like a bit of, I don't know, bro. It makes you dick this much longer because you feel like you're invincible now. You know what I mean? But yeah, we were at front of this house and we were waiting for this panel and we're just having a laugh or whatever. And we're at the front of these like flats, and one of these flat windows open, and some fella's in the window and he's fucking being a bit mouthy and he's saying, "Hey, shut the fuck up!" Like, and mind you, we're at the front of this house at like 2 in the morning. Oh no, I wouldn't say 2 in the morning. It'd be like 11 at night, but on a weekday or something. Anyways, matey opens up the window and says, "Hey, shut the fuck up," And we're all like, "Fuck, kick back," Like, well, shut up, just kick back. He's been a bit of a mouth figure, and the older boys were, they're always keen, the older boys. And I just don't know if my mate hadn't seen. I don't think he's seen it at all. Me and my mate like noticed this guy straight away. This matey that's hanging out the window of the flats is holding like a Glock. He's holding a Glock, and that's why he's a bit mouthy, because he's holding one of them, and he's telling us to fucking leg it. Obviously, he's a bit sus on what we're doing at the front of his house. And our older mateys fucking G'ing up, going, "What the fuck's your problem?" And I'm not thinking he's seeing what the guy's holding and that. Brian and me and my mate are going, "What the fuck's this cunt doing, bro? Like, kick back, We're this is red hot type of thing." Yeah. Anyways, long story short, it didn't really amount to nothing. But like, yeah, I just remember that. I can remember that really just off the top of my head. But more crazy stories, maybe more like things nearly get pinched for.
Yeah, I want to get into that too.
Yeah, things nearly get pinched for.
Were you painting during the week nights more because was it like less red hot?
Yeah, 100%, and especially like when you realise that it's heaps easier to paint like in the weeknights. There's less cars around, on weeknights. Yeah, it was definitely it got a bit silly.
So the go-to thing, so you're doing throws, you kind of meet this crew, you start doing stuff, you step up. Obviously, you end up in jail for graffiti, right?
Yeah,
so that's when you start hitting trains.
Yeah.
So you've gone to the subculture, you start to get into the serious sort of graffiti stuff, which is the train. I know you said before it's more criminal.
Yeah.
Why is it more criminal with the train stuff?
I guess like just graffiti on the street. It's not really putting a stop or anything to anyone's businesses, or it's not putting a stop to the public, or it's not doing anything like that. It's just a nuisance in a sense. And I guess Metro is assuming $1 billion company.
100.
So they've got, so many things that they need to stick to, and us disrupting that was really what the straw that broke the camel's back, I guess.
And so the older guys taught you how to do it, or did you have to figure it out yourself?
It's just common knowledge. Like, you learn it. Someone obviously would have invented it back in the day or be the first person to do it, but it's common knowledge, that type of stuff.
It's just passed down. You can't.
Passed down. And
I'm guessing you can't look at YouTube how to paint trains and how to.
No. And like, bro, we held down yards. Like, us boys held down yards for years, bro. Like, especially West Side yards. It's another like big thing, claiming yards.
What do you mean by that? What does claiming yards mean?
Well, there's a lot of train yards in Melbourne, like where the trains obviously lay up, because obviously not every single train is running on the train line every second of the day. And train yards is probably like the be all and end all of train painting. Like, if you're doing yards, you're doing it proper. Like, every footage you would even seen is people painting train yards. You know what I mean? Yeah. So it's just the be all and end all, and I guess it takes the most like covert planning to get done. So there's obviously proof in the panel alone, if like I guess the planning that people have gone into, the effort that they do. You can tell if panels have taken people 10 minutes. You can tell if people have taken half an hour. You know what I mean? And I guess it's more about, I guess it's all subjective on how quick you want to be, but like, people would be looking for the most time in a yard, you know, because you can do tags and throwaways on trains, but if you're painting trains, you'd want to be doing pieces on them. So people are looking for a longer amount of time, so there's more detail in the piece on the train.
So in the community, is that like how, like, you know, that's, you said before, it's like the pillar of painting.
Yeah, I guess.
So like, if you've got a full hectic piece, like in your community, the subculture, are people looking at that going, that's fucking hectic?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, because I would assume even like just randoms would think it looks good.
Yeah.
So 100%. People who are into it would even think even highly of it. But yeah, and then I guess you can't paint trains all the time. There's security on trains. Like I said, there's covert planning into people have got to figure things out to where like you can only figure some sort of things out being around, and it's all run on times. Like, it's obviously there's a timetable. So you can only figure out certain things about certain yards when you're at a certain yard at a certain time.
That's what I was going to get to. It's like, this shit, like you just said before, Metro's $1 billion business, right?
Yeah.
Metro spends probably millions and millions of dollars stopping people like you from painting trains.
Yeah.
But as we know, people are still painting trains right now.
Yes.
So it's like the amount of planning and the tactic that it has to go. Like, you know, you talk about graffiti and people think of the kids walking around with texters.
Yeah.
But it's like, when you get to this level, which you went to, it's like, how the fuck are you even coming up with these plans? I mean, you must be staking these joints out.
Oh, bro, that's all. Yeah, but there's hours and hours involved in even just watching train yards. If you're painting trains properly, there's hours watching train yards. And half the time when I was painting, a mission was 2.5, 3 hours. You only paint for 25 minutes of it. You know what I mean? Like, you know, there's an hour and a half before it going to get the paint, staking it out for however long you want to stake it out for.
You staking it out for days though, or just?
Yeah, I mean, depends. I used to like going, if it was good, it's good. You know, if it's good right now, it's good right now. You know what I mean? It got to the point, like, that obviously wasn't like that straight away. That comes with like repetition and being comfortable, like, I guess, like painting.
Being uncomfortable.
Yeah. So it got to the point where like we were just like, bro, if it's good, it's good. You know. But you do have your times, obviously, sitting around, and you know, we'd be like, all right, sweet, we're gonna paint this spot at this time on Sunday, and it's Tuesday. So you're planning. You watch the yard a couple of times before. You make sure, and that's what comes down with like holding down yards as well. Like, there's a fair bit of train yards in Melbourne. If I could count at the top of my head, there'd be 10 plus easy. I think there's like 5 or 6 alone in the West. And if you're holding them down, you know your train times are good, I guess. Say for example, we found a time at 8:30 on a Friday, and then someone found a time at 8 o'clock on a Friday, and they hit it half an hour before us, but we were going to go do it half an hour later. It's obviously like red lights the spot a bit. So if you've got a train yard held down, you know no one's painting it. So you know your times are sweet.
How do you say hold down? Like, how do you hold it down? Like, is like everyone in the community is like, we can't paint this because these dudes, there's repercussions if they do?
Yeah, essentially. Yeah.
So effectively you're saying, this is our yard.
Yeah,
and if you paint this yard, we're going to find out.
It very much was like that, especially like like we were doing the most out of everyone. That's hence why we copped the biggest raid. And we were just the most active in the sense. Like, that's no like depreciation to anyone else actually doing it, but we were fucking holding it down proper. And linking with proper people holding down their spots too. But we had a fair bit on lock, bro. So a lot a lot of stuff was like very easily accessible to us, and we didn't give a fuck either about what anyone else was saying about their spots, because we had so much free range in our spots. And not to say like people have preference, but our spots were up there with the best spots aesthetic wise.
Yeah,
you know, if you're a trained painter, people know Newport Yard's fucking it would be the number one almost.
So if you're a young lad, right? I'm a young lad, jump the fence, go paint a train. You boys rock up 8:30. You see my piece on there.
Yeah.
What's the repercussion to me?
Stern
word?
You'd want to meet up, like you'd want to meet like we'd be meeting up in person, but it's very like graffiti's very cat and mouse, and it's very like in and out. Like you said, you've never seen anyone really even painting, so like people can like hide behind their graph in a sense.
Yeah,
that does happen a lot.
So you don't even actually know who the writers are.
Yeah, and that but like people can like and you could never know. You know what I mean? You could never know. I guess just from being around the culture for so long and you knowing who's who and whatnot, you'd be able to say, oh, this cunt's mate with this cunt. We'd be able to get in contact with him. You know what I mean? With that type of stuff. But no one really. I mean, it does happen, but no one really kind of stepped on our toes. We didn't mind stepping on toes, but. No one really stepped on our toes, but it does happen. And it's just, I feel like if you're deep immersed in the culture, it's very easy to figure out who's who. Like it
sort of sounds almost like a martial art, you know, like you like respect your elders. There's these unwritten laws you got to abide by.
Yes and no. Yes and no. We kind of just like you do have respect to like people who have been doing it before you, but we kind of just took the piss in a bit where we got to a point where, like I was saying before, you feel invincible with a good group of a good crew. So like we had all the older boys already had a rep, even outside of graffiti, in a sense. And so we got nothing to worry about. We got no opinions we need to care for about anyone else but our own, you know? And if we've got free range anywhere, like, we just really we didn't really care about rules that everyone else kind of abides to.
And that's the thing, I guess it's fascinating. Like, you know, you're meeting these crews, you're talking about holding down yards, you're meeting with other dudes or older boys who did it before you, helping teach you shit and rah. And it's like your general 9-to-5 person has no fucking idea how this stuff's even getting on the wall.
It's not even going on.
Or even seen someone paint, you know? So it's like, there's subcultures, bro. Like I've worked in subcultures in rap and I've worked in subcultures in dance that people don't know about. But like, this is like subculture.
Yeah,
like,
this is deep. I guess it's underground, bro.
It doesn't get deeper, really.
Yeah, it's underground. And to be honest, like, the only people who would, majority of the time, the only people who would have really known what was going on was me and my 3 other mates who were painting the trains, and then whoever finds out after we've done what we've done.
And that's the other thing I was going to say is like, what's the, you know, when you do it, obviously, you know, anything you do, there's a form of like accolade, yeah? And like when you're painting trains and shit, you guys take photos, obviously, and it's like, what's the accolade too? Is it your peers and your elders, or is it solely just you doing it if you can do it? Or what's the motivator, you know?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people get egotistical with it and shit. But I guess you do it more for yourself and more. A lot of people would want to boast what they're doing. I'm not really like that. I just like keeping it, like keeping it on the DL. That's what I liked about it. You can get away with it kind of without no one knowing. So why don't I show anyone? There's no point showing someone if I just done this big old mission to deliberately not get seen, and now I'm showing everyone what's been done. I show you the crime itself, you know.
And that's the part that's crazy to me. It's like, you know, it's like you talk about like a DJ wearing a mask, like whatever. But this thing's fucking. You literally go out there, people know your name, you build a reputation behind a piece of writing, and then you don't want any accolades. Like that's what I think is so hard for people to comprehend.
The accolades are a bit different. Like, don't get me wrong. There's like, you know, if people who've been writing for years and that, like, I guess seeing like young cunts would see him at like a paint shop, giving props for, I guess, just being fucking immersed in the culture for so long or whatever. But yeah, it's more, I don't really see no point boasting about it. Like, we used to say like all the time, like, you'd be at a paint shop or someone and someone would say, hey bro, fuck, I seen you do this spot on that wall. So man, I fucking done it. I know it's there, type of thing. Like, not to try and sound arrogant, but like, you don't need to fucking tell me that it's there because I'm the one that done it.
That's a good point.
Yeah. So I don't know. And then the whole sense of like, everyone wants to paint. It's an accolade really is like, paint him with so and so. This guy's been painting here. This guy does this. We'll go paint with him, and you fucking that, and you do a piece together and that, and then you just get a flick, and that's an accolade for some. But no, that's not like us or us boys that were doing it.
That's what I mean. Like, it's hard to understand. Like that's why I sort of push on. But it's like you write this thing, and then that becomes famous, and then the idea is that you don't want to be known. Then name another thing.
Anonymous factor. About
but name another culture where that's the case. Like it doesn't exist.
Like I guess criminal culture itself's like that.
True.
You know?
That's a good point. Yeah. it kind of borrows from that. But even then, you know, it's you talk about graffiti artists. 9 times out of 10, the only time they talk is if they've been busted.
Yeah, 100%. So like, and 9 times out of 10, all the graffiti artists that I've met are just the complete like opposite of what you think they are. Bunch of weird cunts, man. Bunch of weird cunts. Especially if you break it down, people just cruising around at night or whatever. You know what I mean? Being sneaky about doing a tag somewhere. It takes a certain type of person. 9 times out of 10, it's probably someone you're not expecting. You know.
So before the music, you're a part of Australia's biggest graffiti raid. Can you run us through sort of what happened and why it happened?
Yeah. What happened? Well, so in retrospect now, I guess we're in we got investigated for 2.5 years without our knowledge. So yeah, I guess there was a 2.5 year period where we were just going hard on trains, hard on the street as well with graph, but predominantly trains. And like I was saying before, disrupting services like stopping live trains. And I think that's what really got us to the point where they probably felt that they needed it to stop.
When you say stopping the live trains, right, run us through that. Like, I actually know how this works, but can you run us through how because it's fucking wild. Like, it's actually insane.
Well, there's just like red lights on a train line, like how there is on the street, but there's like an old school lever that you can pull and change the color of the light. And the only way it changes is if the lever goes down. So if you jam something under the lever, and it doesn't go down, then the light's going to stay red the whole time. And trains, I guess, in their job, the train's exactly like, okay, you can't run a red light, it's illegal. So what the yarn was that they lose their job straight away. So you know a train's going to stop if it's running. But on some trains there's like a air release for the brakes that immobilises the train completely. So it's a 2 for 1 if you get a train like that. But you can still paint trains that stopping at a red light. But if you can paint a train that you can immobilise for however long you want, you can paint whatever you want in a sense.
And the conductors don't come out.
Oh, yeah, majority of the time they don't come out. It has happened before, but yeah, they don't really come out. People seem to be a lot, I guess in like retrospect now, looking at it, it's very confronting for someone that doesn't understand what's going on. You know, you wouldn't really know what's going on, and I can understand that'd be very confronting for people, I guess, on the train. But there's no harm to anyone else. It's just a nuisance, like I said before. Like there's no harm to anyone. No one gets hurt. Yeah, it's just, I guess, a nuisance to stop of like what's actually supposed to be going on.
Be fucking wild, man.
Yeah,
imagine just sitting there. Then all
from my perspective, I can't feel what that feels like.
Because you're on that side, not that side.
Exactly right.
So you guys are paying trains. The cops are watching you for 2.5 years, and they're doing it because you're stopping these trains.
Yeah, we stopped. We were doing it like we were just being silly, bro. Like not silly. Like we were so around and we were so ahead of it that like we knew what was going on. The metro company itself employ like a private security company to police people painting trains. So I guess they do everything that we do, but they just don't paint it. They do everything that we do, as opposed to like looking at train yards, sitting around at night time, cruising each side of the city. They do everything we do except for paint the train, and they want to catch us in the act. I guess that's the pinnacle of their pinch, is catching us in the act. And yeah, we just got ahead of them too, so that kind of helped us a lot. Like we were just around too much. Like we're always cruising in cars. I don't know how many hours I've done just cruising in cars, bro, sussing spots or whatever. And then we got onto where their depot was, and their depot was like the areas we regulate. Like it was Footscray where we regulated, and their depot's in North Melbourne. It's 5 minutes down the road. So when we got onto that, we got onto like, obviously having all the time on our hands. We're watching them rock up to work. We're watching them rock up in their personal cars, saying what's doing, getting in the work car and then going elsewhere where they need to go, trying to find people painting trains. And they would know certain times, like I said before, it's all to do with timetables. So you realise that like, you know, a time in Campbellfield might be getting painted every week on a Wednesday at 7:30. So next Wednesday, let's go down at 7:30, see what's going on. You know what I mean?
So you're watching them trying to watch you?
Yeah, we got to the point where we were just like watching them watch. Like we'd watch them get in the cars. We'd get the number plate down for their work car, very distinctive car that they used to use, or cars that they used to use. And then they're exactly like us. If they're driving to a train yard on the other side of the city, they're gonna have to park the car somewhere. So if we go to a train yard, we do laps of the streets before, not all the time, but sometimes you'd spot the car. So you know, all right, sweet. For example, this spot's not sweet. They're around somewhere here, looking for people painting trains. So there's no point painting a train here. we got onto it like that. So it kind of become like very easy in the sense to where like we just had access to wherever we wanted to go.
Bro,
like,
the attention to detail is fucking insane.
I know, and that's very like...
It's probably hard for you to appreciate, but for me, I'm like...
I can understand it for sure. But yeah, I guess that then you're on top of it then, and then it's just literally like not a perfect crime, but like if you it's only you being red hot in the moment when you're doing the mission itself for you probably to get pinched, you know. But there was times where like, you know, you be a bit brazen, you know, you think fuck. And then we used to call them APU. I don't know if that's what it's called anymore, but APU was the security that Metro used. And we used to think, fuck, sometimes if APU's coming, who cares, bro? Like, who cares? Like, they're not going to do nothing. Like, you know what I mean? That's the mentality we had, especially if we were, like I said before, we were the older boys. You just feel invincible. You have no problem, you know what I mean, having a confrontation with them. Because they're the ones that definitely don't want confrontation.
And you did used to have confrontation with them?
Every now and then, not all the time, but I got to the point where we were just around so much and we were so on top of their schedule that we were just fucking with them, bro. Like we were just, we'd find them sitting off spots and watch how they used to set up spots of how they think to pinch you. Because their old thing was like, you're painting in an aisle, in the train yard, you're painting in an aisle. So like in between two trains, that's an aisle. You're painting one train with your back towards another train. Say you're painting at one end, they'll get one security officer to scare you at one end of the train, so it flushes you out one way, but then you run into the setup. You know what I mean? When we got onto that, they were doing all that type of stuff. We were just fucking with them, not even painting. So you can't pinch us for anything. Like we're not doing nothing. We just used to make it look like we're going to paint or whatever, and then just catch them red-handed. But we're not doing nothing wrong. And we got to the point we got on top of them with that. Like we got on top of their schedule. We just took the piss for too long, bro. And we done a can't remember what it was. We just sitting at my mate's house one time and we're just talking about you're always trying to one up yourself. As long as, like, I guess in graph, as long as you can do, this is what my mate says, as long as you can do a better piece than your last piece, then you're doing something right. You know what I mean? There's no fucking boring looking at the same old graph all the time and shit. Like, if you do a better piece than your last piece, people be like, show respect to it in a sense, or at least I do in a sense. So like, yeah, as long as we were always trying to beat our last piece, and we were just sitting at my mate's house one time. We're like, what the fuck can we do that's so grandeur? You know what I mean? Something that's fucking no one's ever done. You know, we're just brainstorming this and that, and we ended up coming with like half an idea of doing like a half train, which is like there's 6 carts to a train. Top to bottom is a piece that goes top to bottom of a train, and end to end is a piece that goes end to end on the train, but not top to bottom. A whole car is one whole car itself, so top to bottom and end to end. So we wanted to do a half train, which is 3 carriages, and SAS was the crew, and we do one letter S, well, one carriage S, one carriage A, one carriage S. So a big crew, like a big crew stomper on a train. In Australia, I never heard anyone that's ever done that. Like, alone and our idea was to do it in service too. So like you could definitely get away with it easier in a train yard, and there's bigger accolades that have been done inside train yards, like back in the day, old school, like SDM doing the whole train and stuff like that. That's pretty well known in the culture of Melbourne, like graph. But we never knew anyone to do like anything live in service like that. That was that hectic. And we ended up finding like an old train yard that was abandoned but had one of those red lights on the end of it. Long story short, we pulled this red light on Boxing Day 2016, 17 or something like that, and we done a half train. We completed it, done a half train at about 7 o'clock in the morning, and it was on the news that night. You know, like criminals. There was about 12 of us. There was 3 people on each carriage, and 1 person doing our own. So there was 10 of us. There was 10 of us doing this half train. And then on the news, there was footage from the inside of the train, us painting the outside. It ran full city, all that type of stuff. And I guess, after that was when they would have probably been like, yeah, this is too much, you know. They're kind of putting us on show. And from what I learned, anything that goes on the news, they're very keen to chase up. Like, if there's a news report on it, they'd be keen to chase up a news report 2 weeks later of how we got pinched for it. Yeah. You know, type of thing. I've noticed that. So I guess they just started investigating us from that. There'd be a database per se, like to do with Metro security itself, taking photos of every single panel that gets painted, because they'd probably report it as a crime.
BC collection.
So yeah, so there'd be a fair few in their archive at least. So realistically, they're just investigating us without even trying. So there was a lot of evidence to do with that. That led to police tapping our cars, tapping our phones, like listening devices in the cars and that.
So how long, like in that period, right? So you do this massive accolade, and then or this massive piece, and then the cops, you red hot, right? You're on the news, cops are after you. How long from that are you getting raided?
Maybe like that was Boxing Day, and I think we got raided. Raided. Maybe it was months. It could be months. It could be a month. I can't really remember now.
Yeah,
a long time ago, bro. Maybe like nearly 7-8 years ago now.
And so when it was happening, were you like you knew it was happening, or was it like fucking out of nowhere?
It was out of nowhere. In like we never knew when it was coming or like what day it was coming. But you'd be stupid not to know it was. Like you'd be stupid to sit there and say it wasn't coming. You know. Yeah, like there's not screaming poor me. Like we knew what we were doing. We knew the repercussions for it. But yeah, like we probably maybe not as hard as like they came. We didn't know they're going to come that hard, you know.
And so when you say Australia's biggest graffiti raid, right? Yeah. Like what made it Australia's biggest graffiti raid?
Well, there was I think I had 12 co-accused. So all the boys, 12 like everyone that was doing trains, because it was all train related. While we got raided, we got raided by transit police, not just normal police on the street. We got raided by transit police. Yeah, there was 12 co-accused. I think 10 houses got raided on the same morning at the same time. Bro, the measures that they went on our raid were fucking extreme. Like me and my mate living together at the same time, and another mate of ours got the exact same type of raid, just full ram raid the door, cut the power, everything, like soggies, like raiding us and stuff.
Guns a lot?
Bro, like AR-15s, fucking all that type of shit.
Guns for fucking graffiti writers, a bit hectic.
And they cut our power and shit. It was crazy. But and then on the lesser scale of raids, people just got locked a knock on the door with a group of police rather than their doors getting kicked in type of thing. Just
what made you think they picked the different types?
Oh, so it was like it was to do with severity of how they've obviously been investigating us. They know who we are. They've got taps on our cars, all that type of shit. They would know that. All right, these two blokes are probably doing the most. This bloke's doing the second most, and then it goes down in tiers. And that's how they served us in court in hierarchy of our like the totality of our criminal damage. I guess, you know. So that's why they went hard on our raid. But yeah, I think they done that just for I guess that was about a month or two after we got raided so a month or two after we done the half train. Yeah.
And so I know that when in your charge sheet, because I read it in the paper, there was explosives. I was talking about explosive.
Yeah.
Where the fuck does that tie in?
Explosive, just like a detonator for a train track. So that's just like the workers use them for they put them on the train tracks in case trains they don't know are coming through. It sounds like you hear the noise. It's like a gunshot when it.
I hear it all the time.
Yeah. When a train driver drives over it. So I guess it's just to cover all bases. Then they wouldn't be used too much. Like they wouldn't be like squashed too much. But it's just, I guess it's like safe practice just to have them on the train tracks for workers.
Did you have them?
Yeah, we had it. So like you get them inside the cabin of a train, like where the train driver sits and controls the train. They're in like a box. But we had keys and stuff. For the train yards and the trains that you can get inside of. So
How the fuck did you have keys?
Oh, you can come but there's a lot of ways to get them and stuff.
You can't expose all the secrets.
No, I can't really probably get into that too much. But like we had the train. Like that's why it was a whole lot easier for us too. Like when we really wanted to do like a proper panel train yard, like we had keys. We didn't have to worry about sitting off and like cutting a hole in the train yard and like worrying if someone's seen us cutting the hole and then the mission might be done then. But we can just walk straight in, sit in a train for 20 minutes. We just, walk in, sit in a train for 20 minutes, half an hour. If no one comes within 20 minutes, half an hour, you're pretty good.
Yeah.
You know, you're pretty good. Like no one's really seen you get in. We've got spotters on the outside of the yard. So we had the keys to get inside the yards and shit, and that just got us like a bit more brazen, bro. Just put another like notch on the belt for us, easy, accessible to get into train yards.
And that's why you started taking their fucking explosive things.
Yeah, because we were just like, fuck it, why not? And then we were just taking those detonators and putting them at train stations and like before a train would rock up, and then the train would go over it, bang, bang, people train station shit themselves, you know? Just being nuisances.
But in the charge sheet, it makes it look 10 times worse.
Yeah. And so just for the fact of having the explosives, they had to get the bomb squad to my mate's house, like all that type of shit. controlled robot picking up the explosives out the car, this type of cut the cars off in the street, all that type of stuff.
So you ended up doing jail time for how long did you go?
I did 16 months all up. Yeah. I got slapped with 2 years on top, 1 year on the bottom. So it's like 1 year, I have to be in jail. And then I'm eligible for parole from 1 year to 2 years. And then straight release after 2 years. But I ended up doing about 15 months was my longest one. And then I got out with parole with like an ankle bracelet, stuff like that. Yeah. And that ended 2022, I think. Was that 24 now? Yeah, 2022 or 2021. Yeah.
No shit. And where'd you spend most of your time when you were in?
Barwon.
Yeah.
Yeah, Barwon. Yeah,
so
Barwon.
I'm like, it's insane, right? Like going to jail for graffiti, like even when they take it real serious, like not their judges and the coppers and shit.
Oh.
Because they get you on the criminal damage, right? Like that's the whole thing.
Yeah, I mean, they got us for a whole lot of shit, man. Like I was saying before, cruising around at nighttime and shit, like you bump into some people doing other stuff and
you're on side missions.
Yeah. As they say, weed is a gateway drug. Graffiti is probably a gateway crime, bro.
Yeah.
For a lot of people. But yeah, in saying that, we got investigated and then they just found evidence to other stuff and which really kind of done us in. I don't think any of the graph charges got us jail time. I don't think any of them at all got us jail time. It was just other stuff that we were had to plead guilty to because we obviously didn't know we were getting investigated for. Or we're getting to get investigated for something, but there's clear evidence of us talking about it or conspiring or whatever.
So when you first started paying trans, right, and I know you're trying to up yourself, mm-hmm. What do you sort of think as you're doing it? Like do you kind of know you're going to go to jail? I know it sounds like a weird question, but like, or is there actually people out there?
No, you'd be silly not to, bro. You'd be silly not to think that.
But is there guys out there that just never
completely naive? Yeah, for sure. That never go to jail? Yeah, definitely. There's people, I'm not going to name names.
Of course you're not going to.
Yeah, not going to name names, but there's people who are known to never be pinched. And I guess that's an accolade. If you really want to talk about accolades, that's a bit of an accolade.
Yeah. That'd be almost like that is the biggest accolade in graffiti, right?
Yeah, and to have the name still running.
If you can have a name, not go to jail.
Exactly, yeah. And having the name still running around still to this day, yeah, for sure.
That's crazy as fuck. Yeah. So then the rap stuff, right? So you obviously said before when you first heard graffiti, saw graffiti, you were like obsessed.
Yeah.
Then you got into the rap stuff.
Yeah.
So when do you start taking the rap stuff serious?
The rap stuff kind of came at the same time as the graph. At the same time as me consciously putting all the effort into graph was the same time I consciously put all the effort into rapping. Because the same mate who I confined with all those years, just me and him painting, was the same person who introduced me to like rapping. Just cruising around all the time, bro. Like, I don't know, like the exact same thing as I had the session when I seen my other mate do a tag for the first time. I thought, fuck, that looks mad. I wouldn't mind trying that. First time I heard my mate rap in front of me was the first time I got a bit of like a taste of it. And I was like, fuck, I could definitely see myself doing that. And then, it's just like repetition, I guess, bro. Yeah, just repetition. And then like I'm like a student of the game, bro. I like hip hop. Like hip hop's a very big passion of mine, just to even listen to, let alone do. And hip hop's as broad as graffiti is. It's all subjective. Like, you know what I mean? There's no two rappers the same. There's no two rappers rapping. Oh, there is rappers rapping at the same thing, but like there's no two rappers writing the same lines.
Or sound exactly the same.
Sound exactly the same. So it has that kind of same aspect to it. But yeah, just fucking got into it. I've just been with a mate doing it the same thing.
Do you have influences?
Yeah, for sure. Of music I like that I would consider, I shouldn't say like referencing, but like holding the same type of style to, I guess. Yeah.
And who were they?
Anywhere from like Taunts, who's from Melbourne, to like Mobb Deep from New York, Big Al, Nas, UK stuff I like. Bro, anything really. But I was into hardcore music when I was a kid, bro. Like a lot of live music.
It's weird. I talk about it all the time. It's like, with dance, there's a lot of people who listen to heavy metal. For whatever reason, they cross over.
Kind of similar in a sense to the pace of everything, maybe.
Yeah. And then it's like you look at like hardcore into hip hop or like whatever.
That's very similar.
It's
just
fucking
a
similar
drum, bass, guitar, vocalist.
There's like group, I don't know if you heard them, they're called Speed, but they call them Gang Called Speed. They're actually managed by Kev.
Yeah.
And like there are so many fucking people who listen to them, listen to like Posse Shot and shit.
Yeah,
and
for
like,
sure.
So it's like it's almost like it's easy to understand. It's weird because they're so different in genre. But
very
like,
true. Yeah,
it's easy to understand.
Yeah, very true.
So yeah, you talked about Taunt. Was there any other Australian guys?
Australian guys, like Lyrical Commission's definitely up there. OGs, yeah, for sure. That's probably like, you can't go past Lyrical Commission. Bro, like I was into Cursor as a kid. Not that I listen to him now, but I was very much into Cursor, and I guess that was like was another thing that like kind of like would have paved the way for, I guess, like street rap in a sense, you know. But yeah, I got a very broad range of music that I like.
Love it. So how long have you been taking it like more serious?
Probably when I got out of jail, bro. When I got out of jail and I met Posse Shot, that's when I was like, fuck, I could really do this, and it's like I could see it being something, you know. Because those boys, like, really, when I met them boys, they were really like fucking in deep with like what they were doing, you know, very deep. They were just, the wheel was turning, you know.
And they've got a cult following, bro.
Oh, bro, it's
like
insane.
I know you said you told me wearing the Posse Shot t-shirt, but it's like, before I even knew who they were, people were like, bro, you gotta go watch these guys.
Yeah, they're a clothing label that does music.
Legit. And it's just like everybody fucking loves them. Like it's like
for sure.
It's not necessarily, they're not doing like, you know, traditionally people look at streams or YouTube plays or whatever, but it's like these dudes are like, they've got like a fucking cult audience that are following around the country.
Yeah.
And they've got ties in the graffiti culture too.
Yeah, definitely. The same, exact same ties in the graffiti culture. And I guess that's why we click so much. But just meeting them boys, like, actually became mates with them. It wasn't like a fan it wasn't like a fan thing or anything like that. I actually just met them through a good mate of mine. I spent time with them before I even wrapped around them. But yeah, just hanging around them boys all the time, kind of just fucking, I was like, yeah, this is mad. Like, same thing. I guess the same thing with graph, with all that type of stuff. Like, you think like, fuck, I could do this as well, you know?
Yeah, bro. And I reckon like going back to like, you know, we talk all this stuff about how much you put into the graffiti scene, right? And people would argue it's not productive. Like, it's up to, you know, as you said, it's objective.
Yeah.
But it's like, if you can have fucking half of the commitment you did to all this shit you did in that scene into this, it's like, why not? Yeah. Like, exactly. But the only difference is the outcome for this is healthy. But you kind of got to live what you live to get to where the fuck you're going.
Exactly.
You know?
And I did have to deal with that too. Like, it was, I was just very like reluctant to do anything that was going to get me back in jail at that point, man. I was kicking with an ankle bracelet on. Like, I didn't a constant reminder every day that I just got out of jail. So I was putting my hand up to do anything that wasn't involved with crime and stuff like that, you know. And music was very easy, bro. Very positive, like.
It's the same shit. It's still creative outlet, and like you still get the same rushes out of it.
It's subjective as fuck. It's, you know. But yeah, they kind of really instilled that in me, like made it apparent, you know. They were really very they're very good influences. Yeah, in a sense.
Love that.
Yeah.
So you're going to this full Australian tour with Posse Shot, right?
Yeah.
And when's that to kick off?
Kicks off in like 12 days or something, less than 2 weeks, I think.
Where's it start?
Brizzy.
Yeah.
Brizzy, Adelaide, Sydney, Canberra, Melbourne, and Perth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you're doing the whole thing?
Doing every show but Perth.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah.
You pumped?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
Is that your first big tour?
No, I've done an East Coast tour with them, same amount of shows, but a lesser time. We done 3 consecutive weekends, but I think we've done like 8 or 9 shows in those weekends. So like it was mad though. It was mad. That was the first tour we done last year, and now round 2. What's
next for D.O.A?
Bro, I don't know. I've got a lot of shit outside of music as well that I'm doing. So music's been on the back burner for the minute, but that's not to say it's finished. But music's been on the back burner at the moment. But I don't know, bro. Yeah, when I'll do something, I'll lock in for it for sure. But I'm just locked into a few other things at the moment.
The other thing I was going to ask you is like, so I know obviously you're not painting on the streets now, but do you still like paint on fucking canvases?
Nah, I was never like that, bro. I was never like that.
It was for the rush, the thrill.
Yeah, it was for the rush and the thrill of the adrenaline and stuff like that. Bro, my best mate, fucking absolute burner, does mad jobs, like mad productions for people and stuff. Gets paid for it. But nah, not me, bro. Not me. I don't have the attention span for it anymore, bro. And I was like, I really like the in and out aspect of it. I don't really like sitting around and diving into something for too long.
Gotcha. So another one, right? Obviously, like I don't want to completely glorify anything, right? Like when it comes to this sort of stuff, this is probably like the most in depth I've ever gone into something like this the whole time. Yeah. Like anything, like even what I do, right? Like I always talk about, I try to as much as I can, but like in our industry, it was riddled with fucking drugs, right? I'm not going to deny that. And it's the truth. And because of that, I saw dudes blow up and fucking travel around the world, but I also saw dudes become ice-addict pieces of shit. I've got probably more mates who went to jail and, you know, committed crimes and did wrong things than I did probably not now, but at some point, we were successful, right? Because there's a good and a bad. So same thing. So I guess with this, I'm trying to get to with this, like what I'm saying is that, there's this kind of, rush and euphoria of watching this and, this cat and mouse thing. But like, what was the bad shit that came from it? Obviously jail, but like, what was the other bad shit that came with that scene for people? Not everything's good. Was there a bad side to it too?
Oh, there definitely is a bad side to it, man. There definitely is. I remember like when it was peaking, say 2000. Like graphs obviously peaked in different periods, but say 2015, like 2000, anywhere from 09 to 2015, a lot of drug influence. But that's just everywhere, bro. But like it's very prominent in the sense to where like if graph's already like illegal and it already takes someone to be cruising around at night time, like we were saying, you got to trust that there's some shady characters, I guess. A lot of people, a lot of like junkies who write, a lot of bad people. Like I said, like a lot of older boys, they don't even consider graph a crime to the other, like I said, it was a gateway crime to other crimes. But yeah, I mean, it's so broad now, bro. So broad. Me and my mate were talking about this the other day. It used to be fucking a flex being a writer, bro. It used to be a flex being a writer, like being a sick cunt if you went about it right. And now every fucking cunt does it, bro.
Yeah.
Every cunt does it. Yeah.
This is one of the moments I'm going to bring up, right? And I reckon you're going to know what I'm saying. But have you seen that Pam the Bird shit?
Yeah.
That dude's taking it to, or whoever it is, taking it to a new level.
Not my style personally, but respect the damage.
Yep.
I don't have to sit there and like it, but I've got to respect that I see it all the time. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Yeah.
I reckon that's going to inspire a whole bunch of new graffiti artists to blow back up again, right?
Could imagine. Yeah.
Hopefully that comes with fucking rap, because that's the thing with all these subcultures. They come with like awesome music.
Yep. For sure.
The other one's going to say is like, when you were running around doing this, like, how are you fucking funding all the paint?
Oh, like we were working, bro. Like we were working most of the time. Rack and paint's easy. Like when it was good. It's probably a lot harder now. But rack and paint was half the fun, bro. But yeah, there's ways to require it.
Full lifestyle, eh?
Yeah, and but we used to be so like, when we were in our prime, we were like calling up the dude who has the paint shop saying, "Fuck, can you please get down? Like we need to do this time at tonight or whatever." And matey would fucking get in his car and come on down. So like, yeah,
what a legend.
Yeah, respect to that,
Yeah, 100.
Yeah,
but, good, it's good for Iron Lac shares.
Yeah, exactly, bro. But free cans, bro. Paint's not that expensive.
Yeah, true that.
Yeah, and like got a deep pocket for it, bro. You can drop $1,000 on paint. You wouldn't feel like you even spent a cent,
Like when you do like a 3 cart, right? How many cans are you using?
No, that paint was actually kindly gifted to us. Yeah, like for that damage. Yeah, we kindly got that paint gifted to us, and it was a lot of paint too. We had a fair bit more paint than we should have. So we had this. It was funny because we done the half train, and then the color scheme for the half train was like all the boys' pieces for like a couple months after that, because we had all these colors that we fucking couldn't use because we allowed for so much paint and didn't even need to end up using half of it. So everyone kind of rocked the same color schemes for a couple months after to match the same, because it was just too much paint to get rid of,
Is it 10 cans, 100 cans, hundreds of cans?
No, it was 3 people on each can. It's 3 people on each cart with 2 cans in each hand. So that's 6. That's 6 times 8. It's 18 cans. Probably 25, 30.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Say 25, 30. And we probably allowed for like 70, 80. So we had more paint than we needed to, because we done the mission. We stashed the paint. And we went to pick up the paint on another day, like days after, and it took us, I think, maybe nearly 2 trips back to the car to get all the paint that was left. Yeah.
Yeah, fuck. I know it's the weirdest question probably ever, but
I've always just wondered. It's the first time I thought of it too. Yeah.
All right, man. We're gonna end it up there on that topic. But if people want to see you come up, they can see it at the Posse Shot show.
Yep.
If they want to hit you, what socials? Like, what can they follow you on?
Socials is at westside.mentality. And you can see us on the Posse Shot tour.
Yeah, mad. And if they want to get access to your music, it's
Spotify, D.O.A, and that's pretty much all it's on. And I guess music, Apple iTunes.
Merchandise?
Yep. Merchandise? Nah, comes and goes, bro.
Comes and goes?
Yeah, it comes and goes.
Just watch Instagram?
Yeah, just watch Instagram, bro.
I've got to do a little bit of housekeeping.
Easy.
I don't have a bottle on me, so I was going to say this. So I want to thank, I'm just going to shout out to my sponsors, WP Shots. They're available. Also, Sourpuss at First Choice Liquor, Liquorland, and all good independents around Australia. It's still the label. I'm not wearing the shirt right now. The quality's so good that if you buy one and you don't like it, I'll give you your money back. And then last but not least, AAA Digital. If you're looking to enhance your festivals, hospitality, or event business, hit him up. He's got strategy for days, and he's fucking working with some big festivals and fucking artists and You'd be an idiot if you don't. But thank you so much for coming down, man.
All good, bro.
I appreciate it. I'm like, I could keep talking forever.
Yeah,
and
for sure.
I know my questions were really intricate and strange, but
it's good,
I've
bro.
just been a fucking massive graph fan from the sidelines for so long. So awesome to meet you, and I'll definitely see you at the Posse Shot Show. I can't wait.
Easy. Appreciate you, bro.
Legend, man.
Legend.